I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to show you how to make two really easy and simple side dishes that you can prepare late notice that are going to just absolutely wow everyone at your dinner table. It's my Parmesan roasted, just the most glorious roast potatoes in the entire universe, and then we're going to make broccolini with garlic and pine nuts. So good, but we've got a lot to do, so let's get started right away. I have my oven preheated to 400. I've got some russet potatoes here that I have peeled and rinsed, and I have a saucepan with some water. Now my water is not hot because you never want to put potatoes into hot water because it cooks them unevenly. And what we're going to do is I'm going to just, you can cut the potatoes however you want, but I like really large chunks because that way this side and this side gets maximum crispiness. So I cut each potatoes in about 4 large chunks, 4 or 5 depending on how long the potatoes are. You want them to all be the same thickness because that's the only thing that matters, because when they are roast together or they cook together, you want to make sure that they're all the same thickness, otherwise some will be cooked and some will be raw. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut all of my potatoes, and then I'm going to bring them to a boil. I'm going to add a little pinch of salt to my water before I turn it on, and then bring the potatoes to a boil. Let them boil for 2 minutes exactly, and then rinse them and drain them well. Not rinse them, drain them well in my colander and let them sit for a few minutes. But I'll run it all through with you when we come back. So once my water came up to a boil, I let them cook in the boiling water for 2 minutes exactly, and then you want to drain them really well and let them sit for a couple of minutes. And now we're going to work on the next step. Now you want to use a pan, preferably. If you don't, that's fine. If you want to use a pan that can go from stovetop to oven. If not, just do a stovetop and then put everything into a casserole pan before popping it in the oven. It doesn't really matter. But to my large skillet, I'm going to add some ghee or clarified butter. It's got all the beautiful flavor of butter, but it won't burn. And a little bit of olive oil. I would say a few tablespoons all together. So I want that to get really nice and hot. I got my mapine here, which is important because it's going to be really hot as soon as I put the potatoes in, which now I can put them in. They're partially cooked, but that's a good sound. And now what you want to do is you want to make sure that your potatoes are all in a single layer, and you're going to just cook these on medium-high heat until they just develop some color. You want them to develop, come on, that beautiful crispy color on both sides. So I'm going to let them cook, get good color, then flip them, get good color, and then we'll proceed and show you the next step. These at this point look phenomenal, so I'm going to just turn this off because I don't need to cook this any further at this point. I'm going to add in whole cloves of garlic. I'm going to add in lots of sage and rosemary and thyme, just like herbs that you would of course use around this time of year. I love the crackle and pop of the thyme and the rosemary. Add it all in. You can even add a few of the stems of the thyme because you won't end up eating them at the end anyway. And they all taste delicious when they're roasted. So now, oh, this just smells already so divine. I mean, and it's not even done all the way yet. So you got that. You got all your herbs. A little granulated garlic just to boost the garlic flavor a bit, which is amazing. All right, the king, Parmesan cheese. Now, I need a little bit of salt first. Then you need Parmesan cheese. You cannot imagine how incredible these roast potatoes are. I mean, they are the kind of stuff I dream about. And I'm not even going to toss them really. I just want them covered in that Parmesan cheese, and you just kind of shake them around like that, right? And I'm just going to pop these into the oven. They just need about 20 minutes or so, which is perfect amount of time to make the broccolini, and then they'll both be done, and it will be so good alongside your turkey or whatever you want to serve these with. So I'm going to pop them in. So the broccolini, you'll need very few ingredients. You're obviously going to need some fresh broccolini that have been trimmed. Now the broccolini looks like this, but it's just kind of on a longer stem, and you cut the stem you cut them halfway up, and the top part is a good part, the bottom part is a little too tough, so I discard that. And now it's really easy. You want to make sure it's nice and clean, and then I've got some water coming up to a boil in my saucepan. Now I use the same saucepan that I boiled my potatoes in, and I didn't even rinse it because we don't have to. So mine's pretty much at boiling point, so I'm going to add the broccolini in and let them cook for 2 minutes, and then I'm going to drain them really well. All right, broccolini cooked for 2 minutes exactly. You can dump these in an ice bath if you want to, if you're not going to cook it right away. But I'm going to cook it right away, and it only boiled for 2 minutes, so I don't find it necessary. In a big skillet, I'm going to add a good amount of olive oil, and to it, I'm going to add my garlic that I've sliced. I'm also going to add some pine nuts. I'm going to add them now at this stage because I really want them to toast and sizzle in the oil. And I'm also going to add a dried chili, 1 or 2 depending on how big they are. These are cut, so I'm going to add just a couple of little pieces just for a little bit of heat. And now all I need to do is wait for these to sizzle and the garlic to lightly start browning, and then we'll move on to the next step and get the broccolini in, and it will take absolutely just no time at all, minutes really. And then I'll wait for the potatoes to come out, and our 2 side dishes are done. That is glorious. I'm going to add my broccolini, and this needs maybe 2 minutes or so of all cooking together. You just want the broccolini to really kind of soak up all of that glorious garlicky oil. I'm going to just give them a little salt. I'm not going to add any pepper to these. Just toss them, turn them, 2 minutes, done. My potatoes were in the oven for 20 minutes and they are perfectly cooked through. Look at both sides are just gorgeous. And an easy way to tell if a potato is cooked through is if you insert a knife and it comes out easily with no resistance, and you can tell that the inside is nice and soft, then your potatoes are cooked. And I just like to put both sides on, oh goodness, these just look incredible, on the same platter, kind of side by side. Look at that. Those herbs, they kind of stick to them and they crisp up, and it's just, I mean, it really is. They're so easy, but they're so spectacular. They could hold their own as an entree. That's how good they are, but they'd be even better to accompany your beautiful Thanksgiving or whatever roast turkey, because it's just, it needs the turkey to accompany on the plate. That's how good these are. I'm just gonna continue to plate these. I've already been snacking on the broccolini. They're so good. The potatoes, I already know, are fantastic. I made them the other night, and I even showed the behind the scenes on my Instagram story, and everybody was like, show us the recipe. So, easy peasy, so delicious, so crunchy, everything you want, and then some. Go to laurainthekitchen.com to get the written recipe. I mean, these take no time at all to come together, perfect for a hectic holiday. So, go ahead, get the recipe, print it, get everything you need, and make them for this holiday. I hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.